Hey everyone! So many of you have reached out wanting to know how to bring that spark back to your teams and really get innovation flowing.
Yeah,
And we found this awesome article from
Mm,
the Continuous Improvement blog.
I know it.
It's called A Leader's Blueprint for Renewing Motivation and Driving Innovation.
Really good one.
It was just published August 16th of this year.
Oh, wow. So it's got like the latest
It's
stuff.
super cutting edge.
Yeah. And it really starts by tackling this big question.
Okay.
The why.
The why.
Like, why bother shaking things up, right?
Mhm.
What's the big deal if a team gets a little comfortable with the way they're doing things?
I think we've all been there, right? Things are moving along, but
Yeah.
there's this feeling like something's missing.
Totally. And in today's world,
Yeah.
that feeling, that's a red flag.
Oh, really?
Big time. Think about it. Tech is changing so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Competitors are everywhere you look.
Yeah.
And customers. They always want something new.
So you're saying if a team's not changing, they're basically falling behind.
Exactly. And that has some serious consequences.
Like, what kind of consequences are we talking about?
Well, obviously you could lose to a competitor.
Right.
But it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
Teams that don't change miss out on all the new stuff.
New stuff like what?
Like new markets,
Mm-hmm.
new tech, new ways of working even.
I see.
And, when a team feels stuck,
Yeah.
it affects everyone.
Yeah, morale goes down.
Exactly. And you might even start losing your best people.
To companies that are doing things differently.
Right. The ones who are all about growth and change.
Okay. I'm convinced we don't want that.
Right.
But before we start throwing solutions around,
Mm-hmm.
this article makes a really good point.
Okay.
We need to figure out why things are stuck in the first place.
Oh, that's so key.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
not enough to just put a Band-Aid on the problem.
Totally.
Ah,
And this is where things get really interesting.
okay.
The article says there are 3 main reasons why teams get stagnant.
Okay. I'm right. They lay it on me.
Age,
Okay.
culture,
Okay.
and leadership.
Okay, let's start with age.
All right.
I'm guessing this isn't about how old people are, literally.
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
It's more about how long people have been on the team.
I see. So, tenure.
Exactly.
Huh.
Experience is great, of course.
Yeah.
But sometimes when people have been on a team for a long time,
Yeah.
they get a little resistant to change.
They've been doing things one way for so long,
Right. It can be hard to try new things.
especially new tech or new processes.
Exactly. I'm thinking about those times when companies try to switch to new software.
Oh, yeah.
It's the people who've been there the longest who push back the hardest.
Makes sense.
It's not that they don't want progress.
They just know the old way so well.
Yeah, and they're worried about things going wrong.
Interesting. So it's not always coming from a bad place?
Nope. Okay, what about culture?
Oh, yeah, culture.
That's a big one.
What are some signs that a team's culture is holding them back?
One of the biggest red flags is when people don't feel safe speaking up.
Ooh, psychological safety.
Exactly. They don't share their ideas.
Even if they have concerns.
Right, or even if they see a better way to do things.
Wow, that's a problem.
Huge problem.
So it's not just about having a suggestion box.
No, it's got to be deeper than that.
People need to feel like they can speak freely.
Without getting shut down or made fun of.
Yeah, like a real sense of trust.
Exactly. Without that, real innovation is almost impossible.
Makes you wonder how many good ideas are just sitting there.
Right. Okay, so we've got age and culture,
What about the third one?
leadership.
Oh boy, that's a big one.
It really is. Leaders set the tone.
Yeah, they create the vision.
And if they can't get the team excited about change,
It's gonna be tough.
uphill battle for sure.
I can see how a lack of direction from the top
Mm-hmm.
could make the whole team feel lost.
Absolutely. It's like trying to navigate without a map.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just about setting a vision.
What else is there?
Leaders have to create an environment where people feel encouraged to innovate.
So give them resources and support.
Exactly. And even permission to experiment.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and even permission to fail sometimes.
Because you don't always get it right the first time.
Exactly. Innovation is messy.
Okay, so we've got these 3 potential culprits.
Age, culture, leadership.
It's making me think about my own team,
Yeah.
where things might be getting stuck.
It is a lot to think about.
It is.
But here's the good news.
Okay.
Once you know the problem,
Yeah.
you can start fixing it.
I like the sound of that.
And that's where this 3-part approach comes in.
No, tell me more.
Renew,
Okay.
adapt,
Get at it.
and lead.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's start with renew.
All right, so how do you breathe new life into a team?
Yeah. How do you do that?
Well, step 1,
Hmm.
get everyone on the same page.
Okay.
The article talks about explaining why change is necessary.
Like why it's urgent.
Exactly. And what could happen if things stay the same.
Because if people understand the stakes,
Mm-hmm.
they'll be more likely to get on board.
That's the idea. And it can't just be a one-way conversation.
So two-way communication.
Right. You need constant feedback coming back the other way, too.
Instead of just making changes from the top down,
Yeah,
you create a space where everyone feels comfortable sharing their thoughts.
exactly. Where feedback is a good thing.
Not something to be scared of.
Right. And I bet this open communication idea is a big part of adapting, too.
Oh, you're right.
A team that can't communicate,
Yeah,
can't adapt to change,
it makes sense.
and being able to adapt.
Yeah.
That's the foundation of innovation.
Okay, so let's dive into this adapt piece.
Okay.
How do we make a culture where new ideas can thrive?
All right. So the article has this really practical suggestion.
Lay it on me.
Make innovation a key performance indicator,
A KPI.
a KPI. Don't just talk about innovating.
Yeah.
Measure it.
I like that. Make it a goal you can actually track.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are some innovation KPIs you've seen work?
Oh, good question.
Well, it really depends on the team and what they're trying to achieve.
Oh.
But some common ones are like
Yeah.
how many new ideas are generated, or how many prototypes are built,
Yeah.
or even how many new products are launched.
So it's about having real numbers.
Yeah. Proof that the team is actually innovating.
But how do you make sure these KPIs are actually driving meaningful change?
That's where leadership comes back in.
Of course.
The leader has to make sure these KPIs are tied to the big picture goals
And that they're encouraging experimentation.
and learning, not just checking boxes.
Because it's not just about hitting a number,
No, it's about changing the way people think.
which often means taking risks.
Totally.
And that's where I think a lot of teams get stuck.
Why is that?
We're so afraid of failing.
Yeah, I get that.
It can make us avoid taking risks.
The article argues that creating a culture where it's okay to fail is key.
But only if you learn from those failures,
Exactly. You have to make it safe for people to experiment.
where mistakes are just part of the process.
Yeah. Not something to be scared of.
I can see how that would make people more creative.
Totally.
Oh, and speaking of fresh perspectives,
Yes.
the article suggests being strategic about bringing in new people.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I can see how adding new talent could shake things up.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you make sure those new people actually help the team innovate?
That's where the strategic part comes in.
Okay.
It's not just about hiring someone smart.
It's about finding the right kind of smart.
Exactly. You need to figure out what skills and perspectives are missing.
Oh, like filling in the gaps?
Exactly. Maybe your team needs someone with a specific tech skill,
Or someone who's really good at challenging the way things are done.
or someone who can bring people together and build consensus.
This is giving me so many ideas.
Right. New people can bring so much energy and new thinking.
It's exciting.
It is. But you also have to make sure they fit into the existing culture.
Right. You don't want to create a them versus us situation.
Exactly. It's all about balance,
Fresh perspectives.
but also a strong team.
Okay, so we've covered renew and adapt.
What about the third piece?
Lead.
Ooh, the big one.
I have a feeling this one's all about leadership.
It is. And honestly, it's probably the most important of the three.
Because leaders set the example.
They create the vision. And ultimately, they're the ones who empower the team.
So it's not just about telling people to be innovative.
Nope.
It's about being innovative yourself.
Exactly. And creating the right environment for it to flourish.
It's that walk the walk idea again.
Exactly. If you're telling your team to try new things,
But you never step out of your comfort zone.
it sends a mixed message.
Big time.
It's like saying, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. That never works.
Never.
But imagine a leader who isn't afraid to learn alongside their team.
And to admit when they make a mistake.
That's powerful.
It really is. It builds trust.
And that psychological safety we were talking about.
Exactly. It shows the team it's okay to experiment,
And even fail sometimes.
as long as you learn from it.
Okay, so we've got a leader who's leading by example, creating personalized growth plans,
Mhm.
and thinking strategically about team development.
What else does the article say about leadership?
Yeah, what else?
It talks about the importance of empowerment.
Oh, tell me more about that.
It's about giving people the authority to make decisions.
So they own their work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they feel like their contributions matter.
Moving away from that micromanagement style.
Yes. Where every little thing has to be approved.
Because when people feel empowered, they're more likely to take initiative
And be creative.
and come up with new solutions.
Exactly. They're more invested in making things better.
Because they have a stake in the outcome.
Exactly. It also creates accountability.
When people know they have the power to make choices,
Mm-hmm.
they're more likely to take responsibility for the results.
It's a win-win.
You know, it's interesting how this idea of empowerment connects to the team's structure.
Ooh, tell me more.
Do you think the way a team is organized can impact its ability to innovate?
Absolutely. The article talks about this.
It does.
It says that those traditional rigid team structures,
Oh, yeah.
where everyone has a very specific role,
Yeah,
can actually stifle innovation.
because everyone's stuck in their own little silos.
Exactly. Each department is so focused on their own tasks that they lose sight of the big picture.
And how their work connects to the overall goals.
Right. And when that happens,
Yeah.
collaboration goes out the window,
And there's no cross-pollination of ideas.
which is essential for innovation.
So what's the solution?
The article suggests trying something different.
Like what?
Cross-functional roles.
Oh, where people have responsibility for multiple parts of a project.
Exactly. Not just one little piece.
So instead of a team of specialists, you
Yeah.
have people who wear multiple hats.
And understand how everything fits together.
That makes so much sense.
It encourages collaboration
Gives people a broader perspective,
and helps them see how their work impacts the big picture.
which can be really motivating.
Totally.
Yeah.
It also breaks down those silos
Yeah.
and creates a sense of shared ownership.
I love that.
The article even suggests being flexible with roles.
So people can move around and try different things.
As their skills and interests change,
It keeps things fresh.
and prevents people from getting bored.
I love this idea, a dynamic team structure.
That can adapt to changing needs.
And it ties in perfectly with personalized growth plans.
By letting people explore different roles,
Yeah.
you're giving them a chance to learn new skills,
And broaden their perspective.
which benefits everyone.
You know, as we're talking about all of this,
Mhm.
I keep coming back to trust.
Trust.
Yeah, trust between the leader and the team. Trust among team members themselves.
You're so right. Trust is essential for all of this to work.
You can't have open communication
No.
or empowerment
Nope.
or a culture of risk-taking
Nope.
without trust.
It's the foundation of everything.
Think about those teams where there's a lot of suspicion
Ooh,
and
yeah.
second-guessing. It's not good.
It's like the opposite of innovation.
Totally. People are so worried about protecting themselves
Yeah.
that they're not willing to be vulnerable
Or share their ideas.
or really collaborate.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Pretty much.
So how do you build that kind of trust
It takes time
and effort?
and consistent action. You can't just demand trust.
Right.
It has to be earned.
Through actions.
Yeah, and communication. Being transparent.
Keeping your promises.
Admitting when you're wrong.
Giving credit where it's due.
Exactly. And probably being willing to forgive, too.
Because no one's perfect.
No one.
Mistakes happen.
All the time. It's about creating a culture where it's okay to make mistakes.
As long as you learn from them.
And extend that same grace to your teammates.
This is making me think about how much of this applies to all kinds of teams.
Oh, yeah.
Not just work teams.
Right.
Sports teams.
Yeah.
Sports teams.
Mm.
Community groups.
Yeah.
Even families.
They all need trust,
Communication.
and shared goals. It's about creating an environment where everyone feels supported
And empowered.
and inspired to do their best.
Love it.
You know, I think a lot of leaders,
Yeah.
myself included,
Right.
get so caught up in the day-to-day,
The firefighting.
that we forget to celebrate the wins.
Oh, that's so important.
It's easy to just move on to the next thing.
Without taking a moment to appreciate what was accomplished.
But acknowledging the team's hard work.
Even the small wins
Yeah.
can make a huge difference
It boosts morale.
and reinforces a positive culture.
Because what gets rewarded gets repeated.
Exactly. So let's reward the behaviors that lead to innovation and success.
Even something as simple as saying thank you.
Or publicly acknowledging someone's contribution.
Yeah. It shows people that their work matters.
It can be incredibly motivating.
So it seems like revitalizing a team
Yeah.
isn't about some massive overhaul. It's
Yeah.
about focusing on the human element,
I love that.
building trust,
Open communication.
and creating an environment where people feel valued
Unsupported.
and empowered to do their best work.
So well said.
This has been such a thought-provoking
It
conversation.
really has.
I'm feeling so energized
Me too.
and ready to put some of these ideas into action.
Awesome.
What about you? Are there any strategies that have really stood out to you?
You know, they're all valuable.
Yeah.
But the one that really resonates with me is
Yeah.
embracing failure as a learning opportunity.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
We did.
Yeah.
So often we're taught to fear failure,
But it's inevitable.
especially when you're trying to innovate.
I think it's about changing how we view failure.
Okay.
Instead of seeing it as a weakness,
Yeah.
we need to see it as valuable data.
Data.
Yeah. Information that can help us do better next time.
Oh, I like that. Every failure is a chance to learn.
Adjust our approach.
And get closer to our goals.
And if we can make it safe for people to experiment.
And share what they learn, even when things don't go perfectly.
That's when the magic happens.
Absolutely.
And it's important to remember, this is a journey.
Not a destination.
There's always room for improvement.
Always something new to learn.
And there's always another challenge coming.
That's what makes it exciting.
Who wants to be on a team that's just standing still?
Right.
We want to be on teams that are pushing boundaries.
Making a difference.
And having fun along the way.
Exactly. It's about creating teams that are productive and fulfilling.
Well said. This has been such a great conversation.
It really had.
But we're just about out of time for this part.
Oh, bummer.
But don't worry, there's more to come.
Yes. We still need to wrap things up.
And give our listeners some key takeaways.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll distill all these amazing strategies.
And give you some actionable insight.
To help you revitalize your team.
And unlock its full innovative potential.
Can't wait. Welcome back. Glad to be continuing this conversation about revitalizing teams.
Me too. Before the break, we were talking about leadership and innovation.
Yeah. And I was thinking about how the article really emphasized leading by example.
Oh, totally. Actions speak louder than words, right?
Exactly. You can't just talk about continuous learning and risk-taking.
Yeah, you have to actually do it.
You got to walk the walk.
I like that.
Right. If you're telling your team to try new things, but you're not willing to step outside your own comfort zone.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Sends a mixed message, for sure.
Big time.
It's like saying, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, that never works.
Never. But think about a leader who's willing to learn with their team.
And admit when they mess up.
That's powerful.
It really is. It builds trust.
And that psychological safety we were talking about?
Yeah. It shows everyone it's okay to experiment.
And take risks. And even fail sometimes.
As long as you learn from it.
Exactly.
So we've got a leader who's leading by example,
Yep.
creating personalized growth plans, and thinking strategically about team development.
What else did the article say about leadership?
Yeah, what else?
It talked about empowering your team.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
It's about giving people the authority to make decisions.
So they own their work.
Exactly. And feel like their contributions actually matter.
No more micromanaging.
Right. Let people make choices.
I bet that makes people more proactive.
It does. They take initiative.
And they come up with creative solutions.
Because they're invested in making things better.
They have skin in the game.
Exactly. And it also creates accountability.
Oh, how so?
Well, when people have the power to make decisions,
yeah,
they're more likely to take responsibility for the results. It's a win-win.
You know, it's interesting how this idea of empowerment connects to the team's structure.
What do you mean?
Do you think the way a team is organized can affect how innovative they are?
100%. The article talks about this too.
It does.
Yeah, it says those really traditional team structures.
You mean the ones where everyone has a very specific role?
Exactly. Those can actually stifle innovation.
I can see that.
It's like everyone's trapped in their own little silo.
Yeah, each department just focuses on their own tasks.
And they forget about the big picture.
And how their work connects to the overall goals.
Right. And when that happens,
collaboration goes out the window.
And so does innovation.
It's like a recipe for stagnation.
Exactly. So what's the solution?
Yeah, what can we do about it?
The article suggests thinking about roles differently.
Okay, how so?
Try cross-functional roles.
Oh, that's interesting. So people have responsibility for multiple parts of a project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not just one tiny piece.
I like that.
It means you have people who wear multiple hats.
And understand how all the pieces fit together.
That's a puzzle.
Yeah.
You need all the pieces to see the full picture.
Exactly. This approach encourages collaboration.
And gives people a broader perspective.
They can see how their work impacts the big picture.
Which can be really motivating.
Right. And it breaks down those silos.
Creates a sense of shared ownership.
And accountability.
This is making me think about my own team.
Yeah. I'm seeing some areas where we could be more cross-functional.
I love it. The article also talks about flexibility.
Flexibility in roles.
Exactly. Let people move around and try different things.
So they can develop new skills.
And keep things fresh.
That prevents burnout, too.
Totally. And it aligns with those personalized growth plans.
Because when people try different roles, they get to learn new things.
And broaden their perspectives.
Right.
Which benefits everyone.
It's like a win-win-win.
I like that.
You know, through this whole conversation, I keep thinking about trust.
Trust?
Yeah, trust between the leader and the team
Okay.
and trust among team member.
You're right. Trust is so important.
You can't have open communication without it.
Or empowerment.
Or risk-taking.
It all falls apart without trust.
It really does. Think about those teams where there's no trust.
Ooh, yeah.
Everyone's suspicious of each other.
And second-guessing everything.
That's not a good environment for innovation.
Not at all. People are too worried about protecting themselves.
They don't want to be vulnerable.
Or share their ideas.
Or truly collaborate.
It's a recipe for disaster.
It really is. So how do you build trust?
It takes time.
And consistency.
You can't just force it.
Right.
You have to earn it.
Through action.
In communication. Be transparent.
Keep your promises.
Admit when you make a mistake.
Give credit where credit is due.
Exactly. And be willing to forgive, too.
Because everyone makes mistakes.
Everyone. We're all human.
It's about creating a culture where it's safe to make mistakes.
As long as you learn from them.
And extend that same grace to your teammates.
It makes a world of difference.
And this makes me think about how much of this applies to all kinds of teams.
Oh, for sure. Not just in the workplace.
Sports teams,
Mm-hmm.
families,
Community groups.
even friend groups.
They all need trust to function.
And communication.
And a shared sense of purpose.
It's about creating an environment where everyone feels supported
And empowered.
and inspired to contribute their best. So well said. It's about creating a positive and productive environment. I think a lot of leaders get so caught up in the day-to-day grind.
I know what you mean.
We forget to celebrate the wins.
Oh, the wins are so important.
Yeah, it's easy to just keep moving on to the next thing.
Without taking a moment to appreciate what we've accomplished.
But acknowledging the team's hard work
Because small wins,
can make a huge difference.
it boosts morale.
And reinforces a positive culture. You know that saying, what gets rewarded gets repeated?
Yeah, so let's reward those innovative behaviors.
Even something as simple as saying, thank you.
Or giving someone a shout out for their contribution.
It shows people that their work matters.
It can be incredibly motivating.
So it seems like revitalizing a team isn't about making some huge, drastic change. Not necessarily. It's about those small but consistent actions.
The little things that add up over time.
Exactly. It's about focusing on the human element.
I love that. Building trust.
Open communication, and creating a culture where people feel valued and supported.
That's the key. It's about understanding what motivates people.
What makes them feel fulfilled.
And what creates a sense of shared purpose.
This has been such a great conversation.
It really has.
I'm feeling so inspired to take action.
Awesome.
What about you? What are some of the strategies that have really resonated with you?
They're all good,
Mm-hmm.
but the one that I keep coming back to is
Yeah.
embracing failure as a learning opportunity.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. We're so often taught to be afraid of failing,
But failure is inevitable.
especially when you're trying to innovate.
Exactly. I think it's about changing our perspective on failure.
Okay, how so?
Instead of seeing it as a sign of weakness,
Yeah.
we need to see it as valuable data.
Ada.
Yeah. Information that can help us do better next time.
Oh, I like that. Every failure is a chance to learn
To adjust our approach.
and get closer to our goals.
And if we can create a culture where people feel safe to experiment,
And share their learnings, even when things go wrong.
that's when the real magic happens.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
all about creating that safe space for growth and innovation.
And it's important to remember, this is an ongoing process.
Not a one-time fix.
There's always room for improvement.
Always. And there's always something new to learn.
That's what makes it so exciting.
Right. We don't want to be part of teams that are just standing still,
We want to be pushing boundaries
making a difference.
and having fun along the way.
Exactly. It's about creating teams that are productive and fulfilling for everyone.
I couldn't have said it better myself. This whole idea of continuous learning and improvement,
It's what keeps teams agile and innovative.
especially in today's fast-paced world.
It's essential for success.
This has been such a rich discussion.
I agree. We've covered so much ground.
From the importance of trust and communication,
To the power of empowerment and embracing failure.
everything in between. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling really energized and ready to put these ideas into practice.
We too.
But before we wrap things up,
Okay.
we need to distill all of this amazing information.
Into some key takeaways for our listeners.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll bring this deep dive to a close
We'll leave you with some actionable insights to help you revitalize your team.
and unlock its full innovative potential.
Can't wait.
All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into revitalizing teams and sparking innovation.
Yeah, it's been a really insightful conversation so far.
It has. We've gone deep into that Leader's Blueprint article,
From understanding why revitalization is so important,
to figuring out what's causing a team to feel stuck.
and then exploring that three-pronged approach.
Renew.
Adapt.
Lead.
We've talked about so many great strategies.
Yeah, like open communication,
Personalized growth plans,
leading by example.
and even embracing failure as a learning opportunity.
It's like we've been given this amazing toolkit.
A toolkit for building stronger, more innovative teams.
And the best part is,
It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
exactly, you have to adapt these strategies to your team's unique needs.
It's about taking these principles and making them your own.
One of the biggest takeaways for me is that leadership is a mindset.
It's not just a title.
Right. It's about being curious
Open to new ideas.
and willing to embrace change.
It's that walk the walk idea again.
Exactly. You can't just talk about innovation. You have to live it.
And create a culture where it's safe to experiment.
And take risks. And even fail sometimes.
Because, let's be honest, innovation is messy.
It is. There are going to be bumps along the road.
But those bumps are where the real learning happens.
They can be valuable lessons.
So we need to change how we view setbacks.
Instead of seeing them as failures,
We need to see them as opportunities for growth,
it's all about embracing a growth mindset.
both individually and as a team.
So for any leader out there who's feeling stuck,
Yeah.
who's struggling to spark innovation,
What advice would you give them?
start small
Pick one thing from this toolkit that resonates with you.
and experiment with it.
Maybe it's having a more open conversation with your team.
Or creating more opportunities for brainstorming.
Or maybe it's just celebrating a small win.
It's about building momentum.
Creating a sense of possibility.
Those small steps can lead to big changes.
They really can.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone.
There are so many resources available. Books,
Workshops.
online communities.
You can even come back and listen to this deep dive again.
We've packed it full of great advice.
So to our listeners, we have a challenge for you.
What's one small step you can take this week to start revitalizing your team?
What experiment can you run?
What conversation can you start?
What new habit can you embrace?
We'd love to hear about your progress.
Share your experiences with us on social media.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep innovating.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into team revitalization and innovation.